The United States of America $1 1971 D is a historically significant coin marking the beginning of a new era in American numismatics, issued at the Denver Mint and bearing the iconic inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the traditional motto, E Pluribus Unum, all of which reflect the nation's foundational values. The coin features the portrait of President John F. Kennedy, introduced in 1964 as a national tribute following his assassination, but the 1971 D issue is notable for being the first year the $1 transitioned from the 40% silver composition to a copper-nickel-clad alloy, making it both an important modern collectible and a symbolic shift away from circulating silver coinage. On the obverse, Kennedy's left-facing profile appears bold and sharply defined, surrounded at the top by the word Liberty, while the inscription In God We Trust is split across the lower field with the date 1971 centered beneath. The small D mint mark, located just above the date, identifies the coin as a Denver minted piece. The reverse displays the majestic presidential heraldic eagle, adapted from the Great Seal of the United States, with its outstretched wings, shielded breast, olive branch of peace in the right talon, and arrows of defense in the left, its beak holding the scroll inscribed E Pluribus Unum, out of many one, encircled by a ring of stars representing unity among the states. Struck with a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel clad over a pure copper core, the 1971 D $1 weighs 11.34 grams and measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter, its reeded edge and metallic luster giving it a modern industrial brightness compared to earlier silver issues. More than 300 million pieces were produced at the Denver Mint, making it a common coin in general coinage, but still fascinating for collectors due to the transitional year, metal change significance, and occasional mint errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and rare wrong planchet strikes, which give certain examples higher numismatic interest. Although the $1 had already fallen out of daily circulation by the early 1970s due to public hoarding of earlier silver coins and reduced demand, the 1971 D remained an important circulating denomination intended for commerce, casinos, banks, and government distribution. The coin's design captures the national spirit of the post-Kennedy era, preserving the memory of a beloved president while representing the United States' ongoing economic evolution, and its inscriptions, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, United States of America, $1, and E Pluribus Unum, tie it deeply to the American identity, making it a timeless artifact of history, politics, culture, and numismatics. This single 1971 D $1 coin, though common in quantity, holds enduring value as a bridge between the silver age of American currency and the modern clad era, and remains a cherished item for any collector who appreciates historical context, minting transitions, artistic design, and national symbolism all captured in one iconic piece of American coinage. This next top. The United States of America $1 1972, part of the ongoing Kennedy $1 series, represents an important chapter in modern American coinage, capturing both the nation's artistic ideals and the cultural memory of President John F. Kennedy, whose portrait has appeared on the $1 since 1964 as a tribute following his assassination. Struck in copper-nickel-clad composition rather than the earlier silver blends, the 1972 $1 reflects the United States Mint's shift toward durable, cost-effective materials suitable for widespread circulation, although by this time $1 were already becoming uncommon in daily commerce due to reduced public demand and increasing collector interest. On the obverse, the coin proudly displays the left-facing bust of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, surrounded by the bold inscription Liberty, which arcs across the upper rim, symbolizing the nation's foundational commitment to freedom. Beneath Kennedy's truncated neckline appears the solemn motto, In God We Trust, divided into two parts by the neckline and placed with precision to create a balanced, dignified appearance, while the date 1972 is centered at the bottom, anchoring the design in its specific historical moment. The reverse, designed by Frank Asparo, showcases the magnificent heraldic eagle, modeled after the Great Seal of the United States, with a shield on its breast, outstretched wings, and talons grasping both the olive branch of peace and the arrows representing readiness to defend the nation. Above the eagle's head, the traditional motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, is inscribed on a flowing banner, emphasizing the unity of the American states and people. Surrounding the eagle is a ring of 50 stars, symbolizing the states of the Union, while the inscriptions United States of America and half-dollar curve around the rim, plainly identifying the coin's origin and denomination. The coin measures 30.6 millimeters, weighs 11.34 grams, and features a reeded edge, its silvery sheen resulting from the outer nickel layer bonded to a copper core, giving it durability for circulation and a recognizable, modern metallic appearance. Minted in large numbers at Philadelphia in 1972, with no mint mark, this half-dollar is generally common, yet it remains deeply meaningful for collectors and historians because it captures the nation's ongoing admiration for President Kennedy, the transition into the fully clad era of U.S. coinage, and the symbolic artistry rooted in American identity. The 1972 half-dollar persists today as a testament to the blend of memory, tradition, and national symbolism embedded in American coin design, and even though it carries no silver content, its enduring connection to American heritage makes it a cherished piece for collectors who appreciate historical narratives, engraving craftsmanship, and the cultural significance of a coin that reflects both the past and the evolving nature of the United States. Next top. The United States of America half-dollar 1980 D is a circulating coin struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark found on the obverse just below the bust of President John F. Kennedy. This coin belongs to the long-running Kennedy half-dollar series, first issued in 1964 as a rapid national tribute following the assassination of President Kennedy in November 1963, and by 1980, the design had already become one of the most iconic and widely recognized pieces in American coinage. The obverse displays a left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, crafted to symbolize strength, leadership, and the forward-looking optimism associated with the Kennedy era. Above his portrait arches the word liberty, a founding national ideal that underscores the meaning of American democracy, with Kennedy's hair and profile subtly interacting with the design to emphasize unity between historical principles and modern national identity. The motto, "In God We Trust," appears in two parts. In God, positioned to the left of Kennedy's neck, and We Trust to the right, maintaining the traditional arrangement found on earlier half-dollars, symbolizing faith, foundational values, and continuity. At the bottom of the coin appears the date 1980, marking its year of mintage during a period of economic challenge, rising inflation, and shifting U.S. monetary habits that caused fewer half-dollars to circulate compared with previous decades. The reverse of the 1980 D half-dollar, designed by Frank Gasparo, features the striking presidential seal, dominated by a heraldic eagle with widespread wings, a shield upon its chest, and a cluster of arrows in its left talon representing defense, while an olive branch in its right talon symbolizes peace. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the Union, arranged in a bold circle that gives the reverse its highly patriotic appearance. Above the eagle floats a scroll carrying the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, translating to out of many one, a phrase signifying unity among the diverse states and people of the country. The outer rim bears the inscriptions, United States of America and half-dollar, affirming the coin's national origin and denomination. This 1980 D example is minted in a copper-nickel clad composition, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core because silver had been removed from circulating half-dollars after 1970, making pieces from this era durable, resistant to wear, and economically suitable for broad use. Even though the half-dollar still retained its official role as circulating currency, by 1980 it was far less common in everyday transactions, often appearing mostly in casinos, banks, or collector accumulations rather than daily spending. With a diameter of 30.6 millimeters and a weight of 11.34 grams, the coin possesses a substantial feel in the hand, a characteristic that has always made half-dollars distinct from quarters and smaller denominations. The Denver Mint produced a significant but declining number of half dollars during the late 1970s and early 1980s, and the 1980 D issue reflects this transitional period as demand for the denomination continued to shift. Collectors value the 1980 D half dollar primarily as a piece of modern numismatic history, accessible, historically meaningful, and associated with the enduring legacy of President Kennedy. Its design elements, Kennedy's profile, the national mottos, the presidential seal, and the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, combine to create a coin that stands not only as legal tender, but also as a cultural and historical artifact from a nation still influenced by the memory of a beloved president. While most circulated examples hold modest monetary value, their sentimental and historical significance remains strong, making the 1980 D half dollar a fascinating representation of American heritage, political memory, artistic craftsmanship, and the evolution of U.S. coinage in the late 20th century. Next top. The United States of America half dollar 1990 P is a modern copper-nickel-clad coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, marked by the P mint mark position just below the truncation of President John F. Kennedy's bust on the obverse, and it represents a continuation of the Kennedy half-dollar series that began in 1964 as a national tribute following Kennedy's assassination. By 1990, the coin had already become a familiar symbol of American numismatic identity, even though the half-dollar denomination was no longer widely used in everyday commerce. The obverse features Gilroy Roberts' iconic left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy, created to capture the president's youthful energy, strength, and hopeful spirit, qualities that resonated deeply with Americans in the 1960s and continued to hold emotional weight decades later. Surrounding the portrait is the bold inscription Liberty, whose letters spread across the upper rim, emphasizing freedom as a central American principle. The national motto, In God We Trust, is displayed in its traditional two-part layout, with In God on the left and We Trust on the right of the profile, symbolizing continuity, faith, and the moral foundation recognized in U.S. currency since the 19th century. Beneath the bust resides the date 1990, marking a year of economic transition as the United States moved from the 1980s boom toward early 1990s recession, a time when circulating coinage demand fluctuated and half dollars saw extremely limited real-world usage. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, carries the majestic presidential seal, centered around a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, a striped shield on its chest, and a commanding presence that represents national strength, unity, and the defense of democratic principles. In the eagle's right talon is an olive branch, symbolizing peace and diplomatic intention, while the left talon grasps a bundle of arrows, representing readiness to defend the nation, if necessary. Above the eagle floats a banner inscribed with E Pluribus Unum, the Latin motto meaning, out of many, one, a phrase that reflects the unity of the states and the blending of diverse people into one nation, a concept especially meaningful in the multicultural United States of the late 20th century. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, one for each state, arranged in a circular pattern that creates a sense of balance and national harmony. Encircling the entire design are the inscriptions, United States of America, across the top and half dollar at the bottom, confirming its national origin and denomination. The 1990 P half dollar is composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a composition adopted in 1971 after the U.S. Mint discontinued silver in regular issue half dollars due to rising metal costs and changing public demand. With a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, a weight of 11.34 grams, and a reeded edge, the coin retains the traditional physical characteristics that distinguish half dollars as some of the larger and more substantial pieces in American coinage. By 1990, half dollars were minted mostly for collector distribution and limited bank orders, as public circulation use had nearly disappeared. Nevertheless, the U.S. Mint continued production to ensure the denomination's existence and to satisfy numismatic interest. The Philadelphia Mint's striking quality in 1990 is generally strong, producing well-defined details in Kennedy's hair, facial features, and the intricate lines of the heraldic eagle, although examples can vary depending on handling, storage, and circulation exposure. From a collector's standpoint, the 1990 P half-dollar holds more historical than monetary value, as most circulated pieces remain common and affordable, yet their significance lies in representing the steady continuation of a beloved commemorative design that evolved into a permanent denomination. The coin encapsulates the legacy of President Kennedy, the artistic collaborations of Roberts and Gasparo, and the broader narrative of U.S. coinage modernization, all while carrying the enduring inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, which together reflect the ideals, aspirations, and identity of the United States at the close of the 20th century.